Did you know that the famous American author Mark Twain came to visit the land of Israel in the 1860s? What he wrote about it might shock you. Shalom, my friends. This is Akiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. In the 1800s, after the invention of the steamboat, it eventually became quite popular for Americans to take a tour of the Middle East. They get on one of these boats, they'd make the very long and challenging journey, and they would arrive in the Middle East and stop off at all different kinds of ports. It's kind of like a fantasy to them. It was an entirely different world. A world that they read about in various books, maybe saw in different plays, and now they were there on the ground, on the soil, visiting these cities, visiting these ports, and exploring these lands and cultures. Well, of course, one of these lands was the land of Israel. And specifically for religious Christian Americans, this was a really big deal, right? They grew up learning the Bible, memorizing the Bible, quoting the Bible, knowing the names of regions and cities. They had a picture in their head of what the Holy Land, the land of Israel, would look like. And upon arriving in the land of Israel, they got to really fulfill a childhood dream of actually seeing these places and seeing this land for the first time for themselves with their own eyes. Well, Mark Twain was one of these Americans. He came on one of these boats and he made this grand journey to the Middle East in the 1860s. And along the way, he wrote about his journeys. He actually got a publishing contract to produce many, many dozens of articles, short stories about his adventures, eventually put it into a book called An Innocents Abroad. Well, when he came to the land of Israel, he was not so nice with his pen, let's say. He came to the land and he wrote really negative and harsh things about it. He said it was a dreary and unlovely land. He talked about the fact that wherever you looked, there was nothing really beautiful to lay the eye on. He said that the land of Israel sits in ashes and sackcloth. Right? These are intense words, very powerful criticism of the land of Israel. But how is that possible? How is it possible that he came to the land of Israel and he didn't see beauty? He didn't write about its, varied and diverse nature and the hills of green and wildflowers and trees, pretty much everywhere you go. Well, the truth is that Mark Twain did accurately describe the land of Israel in the 1860s. Remember that the Zionist movement did not start until the early 1880s. And with the early Zionists and with the decades of work and toil and labor that they did on the land and with the land, they literally transformed the landscape of the land of Israel. So the land of Israel that Mark Twain saw in the 1860s was very dreary and very unlovely. Most of it very desolate and empty, marshes and swampland and deserts. And of course, we still have deserts in the land of Israel today. But what the Zionists did, decade after decade, and then of course, what Israelis have done ever since the creation of the State of Israel in 1948 has been nothing less than a radical transformation of this land. Israel is one of the few countries in the entire world to enter into the 21st century with more trees than it had going into the 20th century. We're experiencing forestation here, not the opposite. And really, wherever you go now, you'll see beauty, whether it's natural beauty, whether it's trees that have been planted some decades ago, whether it's the agriculture that really just adds a lot of beauty to this land. And so if Mark Twain came a few decades later, he probably would have written different words about his experience, about what he saw. But the fact that we have his words is real testimony and testament to the fact that this land did undergo quite a transformation, quite a change, an incredible improvement because of the love and the passion and the desire of the early Zionists to really, really bring this land back to life. And this was prophesized in the Bible that this land would sit kind of as a wasteland for many, many centuries until the Jews came back to this land and really brought it again back to life. Just like the Jews were waiting to come back home to the land of Israel was waiting for the Jews to come back home. And once they did, the land flowered and prospered and really burst forth in all of its beauty and all of its colors. All the best, my friends, and be well.